Hello there, night owls and dreamers. Welcome back to another one of our sleepy history tales, where we explore the most wonderfully dull historical events that'll have you drifting off peacefully. Tonight's lullaby history story takes us to the wind-swept coast of Victorian England, where we'll spend time with those solitary guardians of the sea, the lighthouse keepers. If you're new here and enjoy these sedative history lessons, I'd be grateful if you could hit that subscribe button. And I'm always curious about our global audience. Drop a comment letting me know where you're listening from and what type it is there. It's fascinating how these monotonous history podcasts help people sleep all around the world. Now then, find that perfect sleeping position, take a slow, deep breath, and let yourself sink into your bed. We're heading to a lonely lighthouse on the English coast in 1873, and trust me, after hearing about the methodical routine of a Victorian lighthouse keeper, you'll appreciate your warm, comfortable bed even more. So here we are. You've just awakened in your narrow cot inside Whitmore Light Station, perched on the rocky cliffs of Cornwall. It's 4:30 in the morning, September 15th, 1873. The autumn winds are already growing fierce, and you can hear them howling around the stone tower above you. Your bed is simple. A basic iron frame with a thin mattress stuffed with horsehair and covered by heavy wool blankets that smell faintly of salt air and lamp oil.
The small keeper's quarters are built into the base of the lighthouse, with thick stone walls that block most of the wind, but can't quite muffle the constant sound of waves crashing against the rocks below. The ceiling is low, barely 6 feet high, and the single window offers a view of the churning gray sea that stretches endlessly toward the horizon. Everything here smells of maritime life. The tang of sea spray, the musty scent of damp wool, and that ever-present aroma of whale oil that permeates every surface.
You stretch slowly beneath the blankets, feeling the familiar ache in your joints that comes from years of climbing the lighthouse stairs multiple times each day. Your muscles have adapted to this life, your legs strong from the constant ascent and descent, your hands calloused from handling ropes and cleaning equipment. The mattress creaks slightly as you shift, the horsehair stuffing compressed from years of use, but still providing adequate support for sleep. This is your world now, Thomas. They call you Keeper Hartwell here, though you've grown so accustomed to solitude that sometimes you forget your own name. You've been the sole keeper of Whitmore Light for nearly 3 years now, which makes you something of a veteran in this profession. The isolation either breaks a man within 6 months or shapes him into something different, something harder and more self-reliant. You sit up slowly, letting the blankets fall around your waist. The floorboards are cold against your bare feet as you reach for the thick wool socks hanging on the bedpost. The simple act of pulling them on, 1 foot at a time, is part of the morning ritual that structures your days. Everything here follows routine, because routine is what keeps a man sane when he's alone for weeks at a time. On the small table beside your bed sits a tin cup and a ceramic pitcher, both permanently stained from years of use. The water inside has a thin skin of ice on it. September nights can be brutal on this exposed coast. You break through the ice with your finger, the cold water shocking your system awake as you splash it on your face. The sensation is sharp and clean, cutting through the fog of sleep like a knife through sailcloth. Now, let me tell you how you came to this lonely profession. Because, like most lighthouse keepers, your path here wasn't what anyone would call conventional. You weren't born to this work, weren't raised in a family of sea folk. No, your background was far more ordinary and, in some ways, more tragic. You were a carpenter in Bristol, a skilled one, with steady hands and a good reputation among the local builders. You lean back against the stone wall now, feeling its cold, solid presence behind you. Take a deep breath, letting your shoulders relax. That's better. Nice and easy.
The memory of your former life comes back clearly now, though it feels like something that happened to another person entirely.
You remember the turning point with perfect clarity. It was winter, 4 years ago now. The factory fire that swept through the warehouse district took not just buildings, but livelihoods. Your workshop was destroyed, along with all your tools, your wood stock, everything you'd built over 15 years of careful work. But worse than the material loss was what the fire took from you personally. Your apprentice, young David, barely 19 years old, who'd been working late that night to finish a commission. A friend from your old regiment, someone who'd served with you in the Crimean campaigns, came to visit you in those dark days after the fire. He found you sitting in the ruins of your shop, picking through charred timber, trying to salvage something, anything, from the wreckage. "Thomas," he said, settling down beside you on a pile of burnt planks, "there's a position going. Trinity House is looking for lighthouse keepers. The pay is steady, food and lodging provided, and you'd be doing important work."
You didn't answer immediately. The idea of leaving everything, everyone you'd ever known, seemed impossible. But as you sat there among the ashes of your former life, the offer began to seem less like exile and more like escape. "It's lonely work," your friend warned. "Months at a time with no company but the gulls and the waves. Some men can't handle it. They go peculiar, start talking to themselves, seeing things that aren't there."
The weight of that decision settles over you now, and you feel yourself sinking deeper into the thin mattress. Your breathing slows naturally, in and out, matching the rhythm of the waves far below. The lighthouse is beginning to wake around you, not with human activity, but with the subtle sounds of a building responding to the changing light, the slight creaking of timbers, the whisper of wind through stone. Your first task each morning is to check the lamp room at the top of the tower. This means climbing 127 steps up the narrow spiral staircase, something you'll do at least 6 times today. The stairs are worn smooth by generations of keepers' boots, each step precisely the same height, carved from local granite and fitted so perfectly that even after decades, there's barely a wobble in any of them.
You dress methodically. Thick wool trousers, a cotton shirt, a wool vest, and your heavy keeper's jacket with its distinctive brass buttons. Everything is practical, designed to withstand salt spray and wind. Your boots are leather, well-oiled and resoled twice since you arrived here. They lace up high, providing support for your ankles on the steep stairs. The lighthouse operates on a precise schedule that never varies. Every night, from sunset to sunrise, the light must burn without interruption. During the day, the lens apparatus must be cleaned and polished, the lamp mechanisms checked and adjusted, the oil reservoirs filled, and dozens of other small maintenance tasks completed. Trinity House, the organization that oversees all English lighthouses, has strict requirements. Any keeper who allows his light to fail faces immediate dismissal and forfeiture of pay.
Standing up from your bed, you stretch fully, feeling the pleasant pull in your muscles after hours of sleep. The keeper's quarters are small, but efficiently arranged. Besides your sleeping area, there's a tiny kitchen with a coal stove, a sitting area with one wooden chair and a small table, and storage space for supplies. Everything has its place, and everything must be kept in perfect order. When supply ships arrive every 3 weeks, they expect to find the station in immaculate condition. You light the oil lamp that serves as your personal illumination, trimming the wick with practiced precision. The flame springs to life, casting dancing shadows on the stone walls and filling the small space with warm yellow light. This lamp will burn throughout your morning routine, then be extinguished to conserve oil once daylight fills the windows.
Now you begin the first climb of the day. The spiral staircase winds upward through the hollow center of the lighthouse, with small windows at regular intervals providing glimpses of the sea and sky outside. Your hand finds the iron railing automatically, your feet finding the center of each step without conscious thought. Climb this staircase 6 times a day, every day for 3 years, and it becomes as natural as breathing. The stairs echo with your footsteps, the sound reverberating up and down the tower. In rough weather, you can feel the entire structure sway slightly. Lighthouse towers are built to flex with strong winds, rather than resist them rigidly. This morning, the wind is moderate, perhaps 20 knots from the southwest, enough to whistle through the window frames, but not enough to make the climb treacherous.
As you ascend, you count steps automatically. 25 to the first landing, 50 to the second, 75 to the third, and finally 127 to the lamp room at the top. The numbers flow through your mind like a meditation, each step bringing you closer to the beginning of another identical day. The lamp room is a circular space enclosed entirely in glass, providing a 360-degree view of the surrounding sea and coastline. The enormous Fresnel lens dominates the center of the room, its intricate pattern of prisms and mirrors designed to focus the lamp's flame into a powerful beam visible for 20 miles on a clear night. This lens is your most precious responsibility, worth more than most men earn in a lifetime. You examine the apparatus with the eye of an expert. The oil reservoir is nearly empty. It burned through the night as it should. The lens surfaces are clean, but will need polishing before tonight's lighting. The clockwork mechanism that rotates the lens once every 30 seconds has run down and needs rewinding. All normal, all expected, all part of the routine that shapes your days.
Through the windows, you can see the sun rising over the eastern horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold that reflect off the restless surface of the sea. This is one of the compensations of the lonely life. You witness sunrises and sunsets in their full glory, unobstructed by buildings or trees, painted across an enormous canvas of sky and water. Below you, far below, the waves crash against the rocky foundation of the lighthouse with rhythmic persistence. The sound is constant, so ever-present that you've learned to tune it out, except when storms make it impossible to ignore. Today the sea is moderately rough, with white caps visible across the entire horizon, but nothing compared to the winter gales that can send spray all the way up to the lamp room windows. You begin the morning routine of maintenance, starting with extinguishing the lamp that burned through the night. The flame dies with a small puff of smoke, and immediately the lamp room grows cooler without its heat. You remove the glass chimney carefully. It's hot to the touch and easily broken if handled carelessly. The chimney goes into a wooden box lined with felt, where it will cool safely while you clean it later.
Next comes the delicate task of cleaning the lamp mechanism itself. Every surface must be spotless to ensure maximum light output. You use a soft cloth and a special mixture of alcohol and vinegar, working methodically around each component. The brass fittings are polished until they gleam like gold. The wick is trimmed to exactly the right length. Too short, and the flame will be weak. Too long, and it will smoke and blacken the lens. This work requires complete concentration, each movement precise and deliberate. Your breathing naturally slows as you focus, in through your nose, out through your mouth, steady and calm. The repetitive nature of the task is almost meditative, your hands moving automatically through motions perfected by 3 years of daily practice.
The Fresnel lens requires the most careful attention. Each individual prism must be cleaned with a special lint-free cloth, every surface polished to perfect clarity. You work your way around the lens systematically, section by section, checking each element for chips or cracks that could compromise the light's effectiveness. The lens represents the most advanced optical technology of the Victorian era, and you're one of perhaps 100 men in all of England trained to maintain it properly. As you work, your mind drifts to thoughts of the ships that depend on your light. Every night, vessels of all sizes pass within sight of Whitmore Light. Fishing boats returning to port, merchant ships carrying goods between London and the ports of the southwest, passenger steamers filled with travelers. Each one relies on your lighthouse to safely navigate the treacherous rocks that lurk just beneath the surface around this headland.
Time passes peacefully as you work, the morning light growing stronger, painting the lamp room in warm golden tones. Your muscles move smoothly and efficiently, your breathing deep and even. There's something profoundly satisfying about this solitary work, the knowledge that your careful attention to detail serves a vital purpose. By 8 o'clock, the lamp mechanism is spotless and ready for the evening lighting. You record the completion of this task in the official logbook, noting the time, weather conditions, and any observations about the equipment's condition. Trinity House requires detailed records of all maintenance activities, and inspectors arrive without warning to review these logs.
Now comes the long descent back to your quarters, 127 steps down the spiral staircase. Your legs have grown strong from this routine, your balance perfect even when carrying equipment or supplies. The iron railing is smooth and cool under your palm, worn by countless similar journeys by keepers before you. In the kitchen, you prepare your simple breakfast. The coal stove provides heat for cooking and warmth for the quarters. You stoke it carefully. Coal is delivered only every few weeks, and conservation is essential during winter months. The kettle goes on for tea, and you slice bread from the loaf baked 3 days ago. It's still good, though beginning to firm up in the salt air.
Your tea is strong and hot, sweetened with sugar and lightened with tinned milk. The bread you toast over the stove's open firebox, holding it on a long fork until both sides are golden brown. Simple food, but satisfying after the morning's work. You eat slowly, savoring the warmth and taking time to plan the day's remaining tasks. Through the small window, you can see supply boats in the distance, probably heading for the fishing village 5 miles up the coast. Occasionally, one of these boats will alter course to bring mail or emergency supplies to the lighthouse, but such visits are rare and usually brief. The boat crews have their own schedules to maintain, and lighthouse keepers are expected to be largely self-sufficient. After breakfast comes the daily inspection of the lighthouse exterior. This means walking completely around the tower's base, checking for any damage to the stonework, examining the guy wires that help stabilize the structure, and assessing the condition of the small outbuildings that house supplies and equipment. The foundation of Whitmore Light is built directly into the living rock of the headland, with blocks of dressed granite fitted so precisely that no mortar shows in the joints. The tower tapers as it rises, its walls nearly 4 feet thick at the base, gradually reducing to 2 feet thick at the lamp room level. This massive construction is necessary to withstand the incredible forces generated by winter storms. You walk slowly around the perimeter, your trained eye scanning every surface for signs of wear or damage. Here and there, you note small areas where the mortar between stones needs attention. Not urgent, but worth recording in your maintenance log for future action. The guy wires are taut and properly anchored, their galvanized surface showing only minor corrosion after 2 years of exposure to salt spray. The fog signal building sits 50 yards from the lighthouse base, connected by a wooden walkway that you built yourself during your 2nd year here. Inside this small structure is the steam-powered horn that sounds during periods of low visibility. The coal-fired boiler requires its own maintenance routine, though it's only operated when fog or heavy rain reduces visibility below safe limits.
As you complete your circuit of the lighthouse, you pause to watch the sea for a few moments. The water stretches unbroken to the western horizon, its surface marked by the regular pattern of swells that have traveled hundreds of miles across the Atlantic. Occasionally, you spot the distant smoke of a steamer or the white sails of a fishing vessel, but mostly the sea appears empty, vast, and eternal. This solitude might drive some men to madness, but you've found a strange peace in it. The absence of human voices, of traffic, of all the noise and confusion of city life has allowed your mind to settle into deeper rhythms. You think more clearly here, see patterns and connections that were invisible in your former, busier existence. Returning to your quarters, you settle into the day's indoor tasks. The oil lamps throughout the lighthouse need cleaning and refilling. The brass fittings on the staircase railings require weekly polishing. The logbooks must be updated with weather observations taken every 4 hours. Each task is simple in itself, but together they form a comprehensive routine that fills the daylight hours.
You work methodically, moving from one task to the next without hurry. There's no point in rushing. You have nowhere else to be, no appointments to keep, no deadlines except the crucial one of having everything ready for the evening lighting. This unhurried pace allows you to do each job thoroughly, taking pride in workmanship that no one else will ever see or appreciate. The oil for the lighthouse lamps is stored in a separate building for safety reasons. Whale oil burns cleanly and brightly, but it's expensive and must be used with careful economy. You measure out exactly the amount needed for tonight's operation, recording the quantity in yet another logbook. Trinity House accountants track oil consumption at every lighthouse, comparing usage patterns to identify keepers who might be wasteful or dishonest. As you work with the oil, its distinctive smell fills your nostrils. Not unpleasant, but heavy and slightly fishy. Everything in your world becomes permeated with this scent. Your clothes, your bedding, even your skin. Visitors to the lighthouse often comment on it, though you've long since stopped noticing. The afternoon brings a brief break in routine. A fishing boat appears off the headland, close enough that you can see the crew working their nets. This is as much human contact as you'll have today. Anonymous figures at the edge of vision, pursuing their own dangerous livelihood on the restless sea. You watch them for a few minutes, imagining their conversations, their shared jokes, the camaraderie that you gave up when you accepted this solitary post. But regret serves no purpose here. You chose this life deliberately, seeking escape from memories too painful to bear. The isolation that might torment another man provides you with the peace you needed to heal. Here, surrounded by sea and sky and the endless rhythm of waves, you've found a different kind of existence, stripped down to its essential elements. The boat disappears beyond the eastern headland, leaving you alone again with the lighthouse and the sea. You return to your tasks, checking the clockwork mechanism that rotates the lens, winding the weights that power its steady revolution. This machinery is a marvel of precision engineering, designed to operate reliably in the harsh marine environment for decades with minimal maintenance. As evening approaches, you begin the most important ritual of your day, the lighting ceremony. Everything else you do serves this single purpose, ensuring that Whitmore Light burns steadily from sunset to sunrise, every night without fail. The responsibility weighs heavily, knowing that ships and lives depend on your vigilance. You climb the stairs once more, carrying the evening's supply of oil and the other materials needed for lighting. Your legs feel the familiar burn of the ascent, but it's a good tiredness, the result of honest work and purposeful activity. The lamp room awaits, its great lens catching the last rays of daylight and splitting them into rainbow patterns on the walls. The lighting process follows an exact sequence that never varies. First, you fill the oil reservoir to its precise level, checking twice to ensure accuracy. Next, you adjust the wick to the proper height, trimming any irregularities that might cause uneven burning. The lens must be positioned exactly, its focal point aligned with the lamp flame to produce the maximum light output. As the sun touches the western horizon, you strike a match and apply it to the prepared wick. The flame springs to life, small at first, then growing steady and bright as the oil feeds upward through the cotton fibers. You replace the glass chimney carefully, adjusting the airflow to achieve the perfect flame, tall enough to be brilliant, controlled enough to burn cleanly without smoke. The moment the flame stabilizes, you start the clockwork mechanism that will rotate the lens throughout the night. The weights begin their slow descent, turning gears and wheels with mechanical precision. Every 30 seconds, the lens completes one revolution, sending its beams sweeping across the dark waters like a giant finger of light pointing the way to safety. This is the moment when your day's work reaches its culmination. The lighthouse springs to life, transforming from a silent stone tower into a vital navigational aid visible for miles across the darkening sea. The beam reaches out into the growing darkness, a promise to sailors that someone is watching, someone cares about their safe passage. You remain in the lamp room as full darkness falls, monitoring the flame's performance, adjusting the mechanism as needed. Through the windows, you can see your light's reflection on the water, a bright path leading toward the horizon. Occasionally, an answering flash appears in the distance, another lighthouse, maintaining its own vigil, or perhaps a ship's lantern, acknowledging your beacon. The night watch has begun, but your active duties are nearly complete. The clockwork will operate unattended for hours, requiring only periodic checks to ensure proper function. You descend to your quarters, leaving the lighthouse to perform its automated dance of light and shadow high above.
In the quiet of your small kitchen, you prepare a simple dinner. Tinned meat heated over the coal stove, bread, and strong tea. The food is plain but nourishing, fuel for tomorrow's identical routine. You eat slowly, listening to the wind outside and the distant crash of waves on rocks. These sounds have become the soundtrack of your existence, as familiar as your own heartbeat. After dinner, you allow yourself the luxury of reading. Your small library consists of a dozen books, read and reread countless times. Volumes of poetry, a few novels, technical manuals about lighthouse equipment, and a Bible inherited from the previous keeper. Tonight, you choose Tennyson, letting the familiar verses wash over your mind like gentle waves. The poetry speaks to your solitary condition, verses about sailors and sea voyages, about isolation and endurance. You read slowly, savoring each word, making the entertainment last as long as possible. Books are precious here, each one a doorway to other worlds, other possibilities beyond these stone walls. As you read, your breathing naturally slows, your body settling into the comfortable chair. The oil lamp flickers slightly in a draft, casting moving shadows that dance across the pages. Outside, the lighthouse beam continues its steady rotation, a mechanical heartbeat counting off the seconds of the night.
By 10 o'clock, you're ready for your first night check of the lamp room. This means another climb up the spiral staircase, though your legs have grown so accustomed to the routine that you barely notice the effort. The lamp burns steadily, its flame bright and clean, the lens rotating with mechanical precision. You record the time and conditions in the night log, then return to your quarters for a few more hours of rest. This pattern will repeat twice more during the night. Checks at midnight and 4 a.m. to ensure the light never fails. Between checks,
You doze fitfully in your chair, never fully asleep, but never entirely awake. It's a different kind of rest, appropriate to your role as guardian of the light. The midnight check reveals everything operating normally. The flame burns bright. The oil reservoir still has several hours' supply. The clockwork ticks steadily onward. Through the lamp room windows, you can see the beams sweeping across empty waters, reaching out into the darkness like a protective embrace. At 4 a.m., you make the final check of the night. Dawn is still 2 hours away, but already you can sense the approaching end of darkness. The flame is burned lower, but remains steady. The oil reservoir nearly empty, as planned. Everything has functioned perfectly through another night, another successful completion of your most important duty. As you descend the stairs for the last time until evening, you feel the satisfaction of duty fulfilled. Another night has passed without incident. Another day begins with the lighthouse, ready to serve its vital purpose. Your legs carry you down the familiar spiral with automatic precision, your hand trailing along the worn iron railing.
In your quarters, you allow yourself to rest properly now, settling into your narrow bed with the deep contentment that comes from work well done. The blankets are still warm from your body heat, welcoming you back to their wool embrace. Outside, the first hints of dawn begin to lighten the eastern sky, painting the horizon in subtle shades of gray and rose. You close your eyes, feeling your breathing slow and deepen naturally. Your body sinks into the thin mattress, muscles relaxing after the night's vigilance. The lighthouse beam continues its rotation above you, faithfully maintaining its watch even as you rest. In a few hours, you'll wake to begin the cycle again. The same routine, the same tasks, the same solitary dedication to the light that keeps ships safe in treacherous waters. This is your life now, measured in the rotation of the lens, the burning of oil, the climbing of stairs. Simple, repetitive, essential. You found peace in this rhythm, contentment in this purpose. As sleep takes hold, your last conscious thought is of tomorrow's sunrise, another day in the eternal cycle of the lighthouse keeper's duty. The beam sweeps on through the darkness, a testament to your dedication, a promise to sailors that someone watches over their passage through the night. And in your dreams, you hear the eternal song of the sea, the rhythm that shapes all life on this windswept coast, steady and endless as time itself. In and out, like breathing, like waves, like the patient revolution of the light above. Sleep comes gently, naturally, carrying you into dreams of distant ships and safe harbors, of purposes fulfilled and duties honored. The lighthouse keeps its vigil as you rest, a mechanical guardian watching over sea and keeper alike through the quiet hours before dawn. And so another day ends and begins in the life of Thomas Hartwell, keeper of Whitmore Light, guardian of the dangerous coast, faithful servant of the beam that saves lives in the darkness. Sleep well, knowing that somewhere, always, the lighthouse keepers maintain their lonely watch, their light shining through storm and calm, a beacon of hope in the endless night of the sea,